it's a completely different life. I think the initial reservations I had was I would have to give up my life that I thought was so great, when in actuality it really wasn't that great. Staying up late and drinking and eating whatever I wanted, and being that heavy and out of shape and everything. Like, I don't know why there was any kind of reservation of like, oh no, I don't want to give this up. I don't want to give this up, because looking back, this is a completely different life, and it's a completely better life than the life I used to live.
Hey there, how is it going? It is your muscle building coach, Lee Hayward, and today I have the opportunity to chat to one of my long-term coaching students. This is Jeff Samataro, and we actually did a conversation last year discussing his fitness and fat loss journey and the progress that he made up until 6 months into the program. Now he is another year in, much further along, more matured with the program, and I want to do this like follow-up conversation with Jeff to just share what's possible when you stick to the system over the long term and you trust the process and get over the initial hump that a lot of people struggle with. Like most people, when they start a fitness and fat loss program, they can get through the first phase, maybe the first few weeks, first few months, but then what happens after that? A lot of times people fizzle off. But if you can stick past that, that's where the power really comes into play. And that's where you really see this becoming a lifestyle and experiencing a true transformation. So that's what Jeff's been able to achieve. And I want to have a conversation with him to just talk about that and how it's really impacted his life over the past year and a half that he's been doing this. So welcome, Jeff. Glad to have you tuning in and joining us today. So just kind of give everyone like a little backtrack story. I mean, like here it is now. We've done this conversation about a year ago. What's happened now over the past year for you as far as your fitness and fat loss journey?
Yeah, sure. So since we last talked, I've been sticking to the program, I'm very consistent with everything. I haven't missed a workout now since December of 2019.
Wow.
So yeah, I've been very, very consistent. I try to be active every single day. Try to at least go for a 30, 45-minute walk, try to get some cardio in every single day. In terms of my weightlifting program, I haven't missed a single scheduled workout now since we started the program. I'm currently right now, a goal I'm working on now is I'm trying to get to 20 pull-ups.
That's impressive.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I'm at 18 right now. My goal is I'm hoping to get to 20 by the summertime.
18 pull-ups, like that's impressive. I'll be honest, I can't do 18 pull-ups, right? So you got me beat there, right? Good for you.
Thank you. Yeah, right? Yeah. Getting
the from has surpassed the master in the pull-up department. That's awesome.
Well, you showed me how, so
that's good. And just to verify it, I've seen videos of you doing your pull-ups, and these are good pull-ups. These aren't these kipping pull-ups where you look like fish out of water flopping against the pull-up bar. Like these are strict, good form pull-ups, and man, I respect it.
Yeah, I've been working really hard at them. It's my favorite exercise, so I do them all the time. I have a pull-up bar in my house, and whenever I walk by the pull-up bar, I'll do a set of pull-ups. I do some accessory work for them, from some forearm accessory work, core. All kinds of stuff, because I just love doing them, and I just love progressing on them. I do different grips, wide, close, chin-ups, all different kinds.
Let's really dive into just some of the transformation in terms of like your fitness and your fat loss. Now, back when you first started your fat loss journey, like you were around 235 pounds.
Yeah.
Right. And you had lost some weight on your own, like you were trying different diet plans. I believe it was keto you were doing for a while, and that worked, but you weren't incorporating weight training. Is that correct?
Yeah, right. I was dieting, but I wasn't doing any kind of exercise. I was doing very, very strict keto at first, and then came onto the program with you. And then that's when I started to exercise, but I had never exercised a day in my life before I started working with you. So it's not that I didn't exercise because I didn't want to, it's because I had no idea how to do it.
So in 2 years, you're doing 18 pull-ups after just 2 years of training.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
impressive.
It's
I
crazy
like
how life can change in such a
it
short amount
is.
of time.
And I mean, as far as like fat loss is concerned, I mean, like you've made some amazing progress over the past year. And this is something that I'll really going to emphasize now. Like I'll show the pictures on the screen when we have the final video here. But like your transformation journey, like I know in the first phase when you were going through the program, like yes, the weight was dropping. Yes, you were seeing results, but it's like, but it's still like I still don't have the abs, right? You like
Mhm.
can you remember that? Like, I mean, you were messaging me and saying like, it's going well. Yes, I'm seeing progress. I'm losing body fat. The numbers are going down on the scale. The strength and energy is improving, but where's the abs? Where's the abs? I still got that lower belly fat, and it's just frustrating. But then as you started to progress through the program, like in the last several months, like it's just been getting sharper and sharper and better with every progress update. And this past spring, I know you went down to Florida for a while. Right? I mean, tell us about that. What was it like to hit Florida with visible abdominal definition
It's definitely different.
versus
Different,
a belly roll, right?
right? Different than what I've been used to in the past, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was great. And I was down there, and I've had people since ask me, how I've done it and what did
Mhm.
I do to get there. And it's just been it's a totally different experience than I'm used to hitting the beach. That's for sure.
Getting a lot more attention, and is it all positive attention, or has it been some negative attention as well? Right?
No, no, it's been all positive for sure. The funny thing is, I think when people see it, they assume that I'm on this very very restrictive type of lifestyle and diet, and that I can't eat this and I can't eat that. But that's what I love about the program with you, is that I've been able to have this sustainable long-term diet where I'm not overly restrictive of what I'm eating, and it's not like the keto diet where I would refrain from going to certain party events and be anxious over food and couldn't eat carbs and all that. Like it wasn't anything that I could stick to long term or was enjoyable.
I love how you mentioned that the sustainable approach, and this is something that I've developed out of necessity because I can relate to what you're talking about there. Because like back when I was competing as a bodybuilder, I used to go through that all or nothing extreme approach. Either there was all in like this extreme hardcore cutting diet, very often a low carb keto diet, something like that, or there was no diet at all. So it was starving or stuffing. I was like a light switch. I was either on or off, right? There's no in between. It's on the diet or off the diet. And I
Mm-hmm.
found that mastering that in between, where we have that balance, it's good enough, but good enough consistently. That's where the secret to the sustainable approach is. Explain like what's a typical day's eating look like for you right now? I mean, I know like when you came on board, I set you up like a sample eating plan and everything else, but you've kind of made it your own now over the past year and it's really working for you. But what does a typical day's eating look like for you right now?
I mean, it kind of changes day to day because I've really gotten into the recipes, as you know. Like I like making different types of I call them the anabolic recipes, like having anabolic donuts and ice cream and pizza and all that stuff. So on the weekends, I like to have fun and make things like that. But on a typical day, like on a weekday, wake up, I'll have a protein coffee and a banana, and then I'll go do my workouts. And then after that, I'll have typically some oatmeal, some high protein type of oatmeal. Lunch, lean protein with vegetables. Always got to have vegetables on the plate, and some kind of carb like rice, white rice, sweet potato. And then dinner, I'll typically have a big salad. I get like one of those giant mixing bowls, and I'll fill it up. And I like to have a really really large salad. So I'll have one of those. And then at night, if I'm craving something, maybe I'll have one of my high protein oatmeal cookie recipes that I've made, or a fudge brownie, high protein fudge brownie recipe that I've made. I like to make those and put those in the refrigerator so I can just have one.
Mm-hmm.
Typically, that's when I have like the sweet craving, is at night.
So I mean, there's a lot of food there. Like it doesn't sound restrictive or that
No,
you're going hungry.
no, actually, my wife makes fun of me because I eat a lot of food,
Right.
a lot of food. I think that's what people were surprised about down in Florida is how much food I actually eat in a day, but still stay lean. I'm at my lowest weight I've practically ever been. I weigh less than I did in high school.
Just think about that. Like, how many people can say that? That's crazy. So what is your weight right now?
I'm 172 right now. And the lowest I ever was I was 168. And that was back in December, January.
I know you really wanted to make that push to get the six pack to pop, right? And you were asking about it. I remember we were having these conversations, and what you really need to realize is there's like a threshold of where you can sustain your fat loss. And then if you want to get below that, it does take a bit of deprivation, a little bit of suffering, a little bit of hunger, whatever you want to call it. But you can manage it. And the thing I like about what you've done is you have this sustainable system in place now where you can enjoy yourself and stay very lean. But if you wanted to get like shredded, like, hit the beach, six pack abs, super shredded or whatever, yeah, you have to drop down another 5 pounds or so. And in order to get that last 5 pounds off, you'll have to really push the boundaries a little bit. Like, that's where you dip the calories even lower and make some more sacrifices, if you will, like maybe bump up the cardio, dip the calories lower. And yeah, you will feel a little bit hungry in the process going through that, but it's like a short-term trade-off, because yeah, you'll sharpen up, but at the same time, you wouldn't want to stay there.
Right. Yeah. It's but now that I've been there and I know how to get there, I know the adjustments that I need to make to get down to that level. And I liked the idea of always being in striking distance of it. But now it's much more relaxed, and I don't really feel like I look that much different at 172 than I did at 168. Like, maybe the abs aren't quite as sharp, but now I can cook with olive oil and not really stress about it. So it's a fair trade-off for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Very, very small trade-off. I mean, and from a practical point of view, like, nobody's going to know the difference if you got an extra 4 pounds, and it's not all 4 pounds of body fat. I mean, it could be like a combination of fat, water, and muscle as well. So you probably feel a little bit stronger with that extra food in your system.
I do. Yeah. Actually, my lifts have been going up consistently now. My bench has gone up. My pull-ups have gone up. My squat has gone up. All the numbers have. So my weight has gone up a few pounds, but I feel stronger in the gym. And I'm setting new records. So I feel good about it.
So getting leaner, setting new strength records. I mean, that's awesome. I mean, like, thumbs up. I'm super proud of what you've been able to achieve. It's just amazing to see. And like, you haven't really done anything crazy. When we're looking at the program, I mean, you've been a master of the basics. And it's just the consistency. Like you mentioned, you haven't skipped a scheduled workout since December of 2019. And it's just day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, month out, like mastering the basics. And it's not a stressful approach. Like, I mean, you're like you mentioned, you're not starving yourself or anything like that, but it's just good enough, but good enough consistently over the long term, and trusting the process. And again, it's amazing to see just how much you've actually improved. Like, looking back at you like 2 years ago, there was a totally different Jeff.
Right. Yeah. Well, I appreciate your encouragement during the entire thing, because it's really hard when you're going through it sometimes to feel, because you're not seeing the results right away, knowing whether you're doing it right or not. So to have you coaching me, reminding me that, no, you're doing all the right things. You just need to keep going. You just need to keep going. You just need to keep plugging away at it a little bit, day by day. And once I got that out of my head, that this isn't a quick 30-day fix or a 3-month thing or a 4-month thing, it's like, no, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. Then all of a sudden, I started to relax a little bit more. Time has since gone by, and now the results are there, and I can look back and see and say, yeah, he was right. That was 100% right. Spot on. Just got to be consistent and stick with the basics day in and day out. And that's what it takes.
And to go along with that, I mean, there were changes throughout the program. I mean, sometimes you're working around injuries or mobility issues, or like certain exercises don't feel right and you need to change it, or you might hit a plateau. So it's not like you just keep doing the same thing over and over again. I mean, there was changes throughout the program, but the big thing is wrapping your mind around, like, this isn't some short-term quick fix 30-day shred or 90-day transformation or something like that. No, this is a lifestyle. When I'm having conversations with potential coaching students, I say, like, where do you want to be this time next year? Because most people don't even think that far ahead. Like, where do you want to be in a year? And in the greater scheme of things, like, a year is nothing. Like, a year is going to fly by. It's going to seem like a blink of an eye,
Right.
but it's going to be here and gone before you even know it. And if you take action and actually follow a proven system like this, you can be looking back in a year's time and saying, like, wow, look at the progress and the feeling of satisfaction of gone through that progress. Or you could be looking back at regret and saying, oh, I wish I had did that. And I've been in both situations before. Like, I've been on and off with this whole fitness journey for over 30 years. And while most of it has been productive, there's been a few downturns. Like, most recently, after my son was born in 2016, I really let myself go. And I could totally relate to the struggles that average folks deal with. New father, new responsibilities. It's not just about me anymore. It really places a lot of extra stress on the plate. And I neglected my health and fitness. Like, I knew better up here, but I just wasn't doing it in my day-to-day routine. And it showed. Like, I know you were following my YouTube channel for a while, and I was getting the comments on YouTube, like, who's this fat Fucker giving fitness advice, right? So I can relate to the challenges and that feeling of regret, but then I also know that feeling of satisfaction when you're just good enough and good enough consistently, and you see the results. And there's no comparison. It really is not. Looking at this whole journey that you've went on, from back when you were 235 pounds until now, like, how is your life different just on a day-to-day basis?
You can't really put it into words. It's completely different. Physically, I wake up every day much more energetic and much more enthusiastic about daily life. I don't make nearly as many excuses as I used to of why I'm not in a certain place or doing a certain thing, or I feel much more in control of my life and much more responsible for myself than I used to. I feel much more disciplined and just physically, just overall, just able to take on anything that might be able to come my way. I'm not self-conscious about going on vacations or walking around a new city, getting gassed, feeling out of place, feeling uncomfortable in clothes. It's a completely different life. I think the initial reservations I had was I would have to give up my life that I thought was so great, when in actuality it really wasn't that great. Staying up late and drinking and eating whatever I wanted and being that heavy and out of shape and everything. Like, I don't know why there was any kind of reservation of like, oh no, I don't want to give this up. I don't want to give this up, because looking back, this is a completely different life, and it's a completely better life than the life I used to live.
Wow, I respect that. And what you just touched on there, I think that's a powerful thing. A lot of people are afraid of what they're going to lose if they make these changes, instead of thinking, like, what am I going to gain? And
Yeah.
like, is it really that pleasurable to just eat all the junk food you want, or drink all the alcohol you want, or binge watch television all you want? And is it really that fun and that enjoyable to be lazy and overeat? Yes, in the moment there's a bit of pleasure there, you're getting the satisfaction, but like, is it really worth it long term? I've never seen anybody yet who like had a big binge. Let's just say you went on a weekend binge where you drank and you ate and you binge watched television. Like, nobody at the end of that weekend says, woohoo, I feel awesome, life is great. They usually feel like, oh, it even sucks the energy out of you even more.
Right.
Whereas if you have a great workout, or you do some sort of physical challenge, whether that's going for a bike ride or a hike or whatever, because I know you've done a lot of physical activities. Like, you've shared pictures of going on like hiking adventures and biking and like all kinds of cool stuff, paddle boarding. What are some other cool stuff that you've done now that you're a fit guy?
Well, so I live in New Hampshire, and New Hampshire has some of the most beautiful mountains in the country, I think, in the White Mountains. And I've lived in New Hampshire now my entire life. I'm 33 years old, and I had never really hiked any of the mountains before, living in this beautiful state with these beautiful mountains, and I had never hiked really any of them. So now that I'm much more confident going out there, knowing I can do it, I've been able to go on many, many different hikes and go with friends and my family and make all these great experiences. Last year in September, I went on a hike. We did the Lafayette Ridge in New Hampshire, and I did that with my parents and my wife and my best friend, and it was just such a great adventure. It was a 9-hour hike over 3 different peaks, and it was quite the workout. Like, we started early, we got done late, but it was a blast, and something that a memory that I could never imagine myself making 2 years ago. And now it's something that I'll remember for the rest of my life, going on that hike with my parents. So, and I'm hoping that we can do many, many more of those, as the years go by. So I'm very excited for this year. The weather's getting nicer, and spring is here, and we're already starting to plan some upcoming hikes. So that's going to be great. Going to keep up with the paddle boarding. We love to go to Lake Winnipesaukee in New Hampshire and go paddle boarding up there, and just getting outside, biking. Really, we bought bicycles last year, which is great. I haven't owned a bicycle since I was probably 12 years old.
Yeah.
So getting out on the mountain bike has been great, and just the overall confidence that we can try things now. We can do these things.
Yeah.
It just feels really good.
That is so powerful, because
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of people who are hesitant to try new things because they know physically they can't do it, or their weight and their physical fitness is going to hold them back.
Right.
Simple things like going for a bike ride, or a paddle board, or a kayak, or anything like. Another one of our coaching students, I was chatting with him just recently, and like, one of his dreams, he wanted to go kayaking, but he was always over the weight limit for a kayak. And now he's getting within striking distance. Like, now he's the borderline weight limit, and he knows that if he continues on, that dream of actually being able to get a kayak and go kayaking is going to be a reality, whereas it wasn't for most of his life when he's getting that progress. I mean, so that's so cool. I mean, it's not just looking good or having abs or whatever. Like, it's a lifestyle, total life improvement. And how has this impacted your work? Because I know, like, you're a music teacher. So, like, how is a music teacher plus you play in a band as well? So, I mean, like, how has this impacted your work?
Yeah. So I play in a band, and we play 120 to 140 shows a year. And I'm the drummer in the band, which is a very physical job. My endurance throughout the gigs has been a lot better. Moving gear, obviously, hauling drums and monitors and heavy musical equipment. That is not nearly as difficult as it used to be. Just having the endurance to go through the weekend of being on the road, playing the gig, packing up, getting home late, waking up the next day, doing it all. I still make time to do my cardio during the day while we're waiting to go do the gigs. I'll go for a walk or go for a jog. And teaching the lessons throughout the week, I teach 40 private students a week. So I'm on my feet a lot of the time for that. And that's been a lot better too. Just the overall endurance throughout the day has not been an issue. I don't get tired as early as I used to. I'm able to have energy throughout the lessons. I work with a lot of kids, so you have to have energy when you're working with kids. You can't be looking like you're about to fall asleep. So I'm able to maintain that energy for long periods of time. So it's benefited every aspect of my life.
Man, I respect you for sharing this, and I really appreciate it. And it's just so refreshing to see this transformation, not just the physical transformation, but the true life transformation. I mean, you're a different person physically, mentally, energy wise. I mean, it's just a total 180 transformation all around. When you started this whole journey a couple of years ago now, what was going through your mind back then? Like, what was your vision, I guess, your goal that you wanted to achieve, and like, how has that worked out for you?
When I started the program, I think when I first started, I kind of had it in my head like it was going to be one of those quick 6 month get into shape kind of things, and then once I got that out of my head and I realized that no, I'm creating a lifestyle. This is how I'm going to be for the rest of my life. Then all of a sudden I started to relax a lot more. I started to enjoy it a lot more as well. the overall program, and just the process of getting into shape, knowing that it's not a deadline, it's a lifestyle. There's no finish line to this. You're going to keep going as long as you can. And once I got that into my head and I started to think like that, I started to enjoy it more. I started to relax and get into it more. And now I'm much more loose in the gym. I'm not afraid to try out new things. I'm not afraid to try out new exercises. I'm not afraid to swap out certain things, listen to my body. I'm not afraid to go for certain types of exercise, like endurance races on my bike. I like to do that kind of stuff, or hills rides, things like that, speed rides. Always trying new things and trying to keep it interesting and trying to keep it fresh, with the idea of that this is going to be a long-term life pursuit.
No, I respect that. Yeah, I'm just thinking of that type of approach. Like, once you eliminate the deadline and that man-made pressure we put on ourselves, like I see it all the time, and so many people say, like, oh, I have to lose 30 pounds in 30 days, or I have to get in shape by summer, or I have to get in shape by, X deadline. And when you put those deadlines in place, it creates a lot of unnecessary stress. And very often it actually sabotages the process, because we have all that stress and angst about hitting that deadline. And let's just say we have a goal in mind. We want to lose 30 pounds by summer, and summer rolls around and we only lost 20. And then instead of celebrating the 20, we beat ourselves up because we didn't lose the 30. And you've created all that negativity. Instead of having this celebration of hey, I lost 20 pounds. Yay, congratulate yourself. Give yourself a pat on the back. A lot of times people beat themselves up thinking I failed because the goal was 30. Why the deadline? Why the rush? I mean, like you say, this is something you're going to do for the rest of your life. It's not like you're going to stop in 3 months or in 6 months or whatever. I mean, it's something you want to continue on with. And where I've seen the biggest transformation is people who have the maturity and that vision to realize this is a lifestyle. It's not a short-term thing. Like, if your diet and exercise program has a start and an end date, the results are only temporary. Right. But like, where do you see yourself, like, in a year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now? Like, that's where when you zoom out and you look at the difference, like, if you continue down the road you were at when you were 235 and you just said, screw it, I don't care, I'm fat, I'm meant to be fat, that's just the way I am, which a lot of people get that way. Think in 10 years where you would have been versus now, like, continuing down the path you're on now. Like, where are you going to be in 10 years from now? And like, the difference when you zoom out over the long term, it is mind-blowing. You were heading towards obesity with the old path, whereas now you're heading towards health and fitness and just living life and loving the journey.
Yeah.
Like, where is it going to be in 5 to 10 years from now? Not just where you're going to be in a month, 6 weeks, 12 weeks, 90 days, whatever.
Right.
Bigger, right?
Yeah. And once you get the deadline out of your head, you start to enjoy it more. Really do. Because there's no pressure anymore to look a certain way by a certain time, or it's like, just have faith in the process that if you stick with it and you're consistent with it, you're going to get there.
So Jeff, I'm just curious now, like, for someone who's watching this now, like the person at home watching this, and they can kind of relate to the 235-pound Jeff and the struggles that you were going through a couple of years ago. Like, what advice would you give someone who's listening to this right now and they're contemplating all this stuff?
I mean, you have a choice. You don't have to keep going down the road that you're going down if you're not happy. And if you want to make that switch in the road and go down another route, then you can do it. And there's another way of living it. You don't have to live that way. And it's the other side, the alternative, is a much more enjoyable and rewarding way of living your life. And it's worth it. And it becomes a passion, something you look forward to. And the hardest part is just starting. Once you've started and you get the momentum going and you start the ball starts rolling, then it snowballs and it compounds over time, and you can look back and have something that you're proud of. And there's no better feeling of accomplishment than looking back and knowing that you did it.
That's so true. I mean, like, if someone is just willing to trust the process and do the work, and I think for a lot of people, it's not fear of work. I think it's fear of work with no return on their investment of the work. Because a lot of people are willing to put in the work, but they've tried and failed with so many approaches in the past. They're almost like afraid to get their hopes up and try again.
Right.
If you just put in the work with a proven system, a step-by-step plan that's been proven to work time and time again, the results are I don't like to say guaranteed because you can't really guarantee anything, but
Right.
virtually guaranteed, if you know what I mean.
Right, right. Well,
Right.
that's where I'm so thankful that I found you and I had you to guide me throughout the whole thing because
Mhm.
if I would have done it on my own, who knows? I might have gotten discouraged that I didn't have the six pack after 30 days
Right.
and I
Yeah.
might have quit. I might have headed back to my old ways. So to have you encouraging me, telling me that I was on the right path and that I just got to keep going, that was huge for me.
This is a big hurdle that a lot of people struggle with, and I've struggled with it myself. Is most people overestimate what they can achieve in the short term, but they underestimate what they can achieve in the long term.
Mm,
So I mean, we always have these unrealistic expectations of where I want to be in 6 weeks or in 12 weeks or in 6 months. And this short term goal, like a lot of people think that, hey, I'm going to be cover model ready. Like I'm going to be looking like I should be on the cover of Men's Health within 12 weeks. And like chances are no, that's not going to happen. It takes time. But if you look at that big picture again, like where are you going to be in 5 or 10 years from now? Like that's when it really makes a big difference. And a lot of people, they can't see that far ahead, where they're going to be long term. But if you can have that vision,
mm,
then the potential is it's just massive. Like the potential, it could be mind blowing. And like I say, you're still making progress. I mean, every time we do our check-ins and our updates, I mean, I'm seeing new personal records in terms of the strength and the physical performance. Like, I mean, your endurance is improving, your strength and mobility. I mean, all that. And of course, your lean and your muscle fullness is coming out. I mean, it's just exciting to see the changes. And a lot of times it takes that transition period to get to the point where, okay, you got that surface layer of body fat gone, and then now you're getting down to the point where you're burning the fat that's in between the muscles. Like, I mean, I explained this process to you when you came on board. First, we just need to lose that surface layer of fat. And then you're going to start to burn the fat that's like blurring the muscle definition. So the fat that's actually in between the abs. And once you start burning that, then every little bit of fat you lose is going to make a noticeable difference. And you're going to look leaner and more muscular and more defined. And it's just, it makes such a big difference. Like the first 5 pounds you lose, nobody's going to notice it. You're just going to look 5 pounds smaller.
mm.
In fact, you're probably not even going to look any different. You're going to be 5 pounds lighter on the scale, but nobody's going to see anything. But the last 5 pounds, like that's what takes you from lean to ripped,
Right.
right? And it makes a huge difference. And it's exciting when you go through that process to get to that lean to ripped phase. And then you can decide for yourself, like how far do you want to take it? Do you want to stay at that comfortable lean? And if you do, great. If you want to push it, then maybe you do have a beach vacation coming up and you want to like, hey, I'm going to push it a little harder for the short term, you can do that. But like you say, you're always within that striking distance and you're always in that comfortable position where you can take your shirt off without feeling embarrassed about what you look like underneath.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think at first too, when I first started, at least I was very obsessed with looking a certain way and getting the results and everything. One of the, or if not the biggest benefit of this whole thing was discovering the passion of fitness and exercise, which I didn't even know that I had before doing this now. And now it's like the results are great. I mean, I love looking a certain way and making progress and everything, but it's the daily having something daily that I look forward to waking up and doing and being really passionate about and making progress with. I think that's the real benefit, the real big takeaway from everything.
So I was just thinking about that. Like, I bet when you started, this was kind of like looking at it as a chore, like a task that you had to do to get in shape. It's like you were going to do it, but you didn't look forward to it. Would that be a fair assumption when you
Yeah.
started? Yeah.
Yeah, sure, sure. Yeah. It seems daunting when you first
Right.
start. Like, oh man, I'm going to have to get up and I'm going to have to exercise and I'm going to have
Yeah.
to eat well and I have to do all that. But then once you get going with it, it's like now when I wake up, I look forward to it. I
Yeah.
love going downstairs and exercising. It's a part of my day that I look forward to. It's like therapy. It's my time of the day where I get to go and have an hour and a half to myself and work on the things that I want to work on and better myself. And I look forward to it every single day. And I plan around it. I prioritize it and I make sure that I get it in no matter what.
I respect that, Jeff. I really do. I respect how you've made this a lifestyle, and it's so exciting to see. And I'm looking forward to seeing what the future brings. Because I mean, like you're still early in this journey. Like most people, it takes 5 to 10 years to really maximize your potential when it comes to your fitness transformation.
Mm.
And this is pretty universal. Like most of the people who you look up to on social media, even the young guys, most of them have at least 10 years of training under their belt, if not more. Because you look at like whoever Joe Blow fitness influencer is on Instagram or YouTube or whatever, even if he's in his mid-20s, most of those guys started in their mid-teens. So they
Mm.
still have 10 years of solid training. Plus they probably had really good genetics on top of it, to compound there. But it's something that it takes time. And I'm just looking forward to seeing, like, where are you going to be in 10 years time? I mean, considering where you are now after 2 years, where's this going to be in 10 years time? I mean, it's exciting to see the potential and where this is going to take you.
I'm excited too. It's probably one of the first times in my life too where I've been really, really, really excited about the future, to see where
Mhm.
the future holds and to see what 5 years is going to look like, what 10 years is going to look like.
Right.
It's exciting. So, but per your advice, I'm just taking it one day at a time and just trying to make little small bits of progress one day at a time and just enjoy the process, because that's what's got me to where I am right now, is that I've just learned to love the process and enjoy the daily routine of it.
Right.
So as excited as I am to see 5 years down the line,
Yeah.
10 years down the line, I'm excited to see what next week holds.
Right.
I'm
That's
excited.
the way to think of it. Awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. And we should also point out, like, Jeff made this transformation during the whole 2020 situation, right?
Hmm.
During lockdown, working out from home, all the challenges that have happened over the last year. I mean, like, you had all the excuses in the world to say, you know what, screw it. I'm going to let myself go. I'm going to gain weight. And everybody would have justified it and said, you know what, I understand. You need your stress relief with alcohol and food and whatever. And like most people gain weight, like this whole COVID weight gain, that's a real thing. Right? Most people gained a lot of weight.
Hmm.
But you made this year has been like a transformative year. So I'm just thinking, like, when we look back and we're talking about this whole 2020 2021 pandemic that we're going through right now, a lot of people are going to look back at it as a negative time, and you're going to be able to look back and say, that was the year that I really got my shit together. Like, well,
Yeah.
it was a terrible year for some. That was a year of transformation for you, and I respect it. I mean, you've made it work despite all the challenges.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I didn't make it an excuse. And funny you say that, because my wife and I were just talking about that the other day. We were having dinner and I think it's cliche to just say like, oh, 2020 was a terrible year. 2020 was terrible. And I
Yep,
was sitting back and I was like, 2020 really wasn't that bad for me.
it was pretty
Actually,
darn good.
2020 was actually really good. I had
Yep,
I did some really great things in 2020,
yep.
and it's set me up for this upcoming year, and I'm excited for 2021, and I'm excited for 2022, and gonna see
Exactly.
what the future holds.
Right. I mean,
Mm.
in the greater scheme of things, when you look at it, it's just made us appreciate the simple things that much more. Because I'm very similar to yourself. Like, this has not been a bad year. It's been a year of growth. It's been a year of self improvement. I've had a lot of personal bests over the last year, and now I appreciate the little things so much more. I mean, like, to be able to go out and just sit down and enjoy a cup of coffee in a coffee shop. I mean, like,
Yeah,
the simple pleasures of life, stuff that we would take for granted, like, who cares, big deal. Or to be able to go to a movie. Like, I haven't been to a movie in over a year. I'm really looking forward to, like, dinner and a movie with my wife, like, the classic date night. I mean, how cool is that? Like, I mean, just to experience the simple pleasures of life and to have that new appreciation for stuff that we were taking for granted. And
mm-hmm.
going to the gym, right? I mean, like, heck,
Sure.
that's so cool to just be able to get outside and go to the gym and do things. I mean, so it's been a productive year, but it's also been like a year to really reinforce all those things that we kind of been taking for granted, or at least I know I have. I've been guilty of it, taking things for granted, and it's really renewed my appreciation for the simple things in life. So it's been an amazing year, and I know some people are going to look back at 2020 as a negative year, and I'm looking back at it as, no, this was a very positive year. A lot of good things came about.
Yeah, it was on my end. It was very productive,
Nice,
and I wouldn't trade it for anything. I wouldn't give it back for anything.
awesome. Well, Jeff, I appreciate you for sharing this and taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you're a busy man. You probably got drumming students lined up, ready to go. So I won't hold you up too much longer. But again, thank you for sharing this. I appreciate it. It was a delightful conversation.
It really was. Thanks so much for having me, Lee.
I hope you enjoyed that conversation. I know I certainly did, and I have a lot of respect for what Jeff has been able to achieve in a relatively short period of time. I mean, this entire journey has only been 2 years. 2 years. I mean, he went from not working out, not focusing on his nutrition, not even knowing how to change his body, to now living a healthy lifestyle and having the results to show for it. I mean, a lean, athletic physique, visible abdominal definition, and the strength and energy to do things that he was not able to do. You know, hiking and paddleboarding and mountain biking and just enjoying life and workouts and 18 freaking pull-ups. I can't do 18 pull-ups. I'm jealous. Like, that is impressive. Like, in 2 years. In 2 years, he has totally transformed himself and became a lean, healthier version of Jeff. And I mean, it's inspiring. I mean, I'm inspired. Hopefully you're inspired as well. And if you would like to make a change like this, you would like to lose body fat, build lean muscle, improve your health and fitness, and just change your whole outlook on life. So now you're approaching the future with positivity and optimism, just like Jeff is. If you would like to have that type of thing for yourself, let me know. Send me an email. I'll have my email address down below, leeh@leehayward.com. Send me an email and we can have a conversation, discuss you and your situation and your goals and the challenges you're going through and all that kind of stuff, and see if you'd be a good fit for the Muscle After 40 Blueprint Coaching Program. I mean, that's what Jeff has went through, and it's made an amazing difference for him. I mean, not only has he lost the weight, built lean muscle, but now he has a sustainable system where he enjoys the process, and he's not going back to the old version. Like, this new version is so much more enjoyable and fun than the old version. And the thing I really loved about our conversation is how he was saying he had reservations about letting go of the old version of himself, like letting go of being able to eat all the junk food and drink all the booze and stay up late and be lazy. Like, he was afraid to let that go. But once he did, he realized, like, the new healthier version, the energetic version, the optimistic version is so much better. I mean, the feeling of being fit and healthy and in shape is way better than the taste of junk food and getting drunk. I'm just going to tell you that right up front. And I've been on both sides of the spectrum. I'm speaking from experience. The satisfaction you get from health and fitness and taking care of your body it far outweighs the short-term pleasure of binge eating and getting drunk and being lazy and watching TV and whatever else. Like, seriously, there's no comparison. So if you would like some help, you would like to turn your life around and get in your best shape, let me know. Reach out to me. We can have a conversation, see if we can come up with a realistic action plan for you, and we'll take it from there. So again, if you like this video, please smash that like button, give it a thumbs up, post any questions, comments, or feedback down below. And if you want to reach out, let me know, send me an email, and we can have a conversation and discuss a realistic action plan that is right for you. All right, I'm going to clue it up. Have yourself a great one, and I will talk to you in a future video coming soon. Take care. Over and out.